Now it's time to jump into Qsys Designer. The following few lessons will assume that you have a general knowledge of how Qsys Designer works. If you are brand new to the QSYS ecosystem, I would recommend checking out their online training that they offer to get acquainted with their software and products. We're starting with a fairly blank slate for simplicity's sake. Depending upon what you're using your QSYS Core for, there might be a lot already in your design. For our vPage system, there are two elements we need to pull into our design. The first is the vPage plugin. This plugin can be downloaded from our website, www.alcorn.com, and the firmware section, or from the vPage product page. Once you have the plugin downloaded, you'll need to drop it where QSC expects to find it. During the production of this video, we're using Qsys Designer 8.3.3. The location to place your plugin for this version of Qsys Designer is Documents, QSC, Qsys Designer, Plugins, Alcorn McBride. Here's a quick tip. Remember how we said the plugin is bundled with the vPage firmware? It's important to use them in tandem. If you end up upgrading the vPage's firmware, you'll want to check and see if there's a new version of the plugin available as well. To keep the firmware, plugin, and Qsys Designer compatibility straight, check out the chart in our knowledge base, or contact support@alcorn.com with any questions. You can think of the plugin as a virtual representation of a single vPage station. For each physical vPage you have in your project, you will need a vPage plugin. In our example here, we're hooking up two vPage VP4X, so we'll need two instances of the vPage plugin. We also have a VP16K in our design, so we'll add a third plugin instance for that. The second item we need is the PA router. This is a component that is provided by QSC and is the brains behind the logic of your vPage system. It is what routes the audio and handles zone selection logic. We'll show you more about how to create and configure audio zones in a later episode. The PA router component is located under Audio Components, Public Address, PA Router. Now, let's set up the properties of both vPage plugins and the PA router. We'll start with the PA router. Pull up the properties. We only have 3 stations in our system, so we'll change the station count to 3. For our zone count, we'll say we have 5 zones available for paging. Easy. Now to adjust the vPage plugin properties. Again, single-click on the plugin, and that will pull up the vPage Paging Station Properties tab for that plugin. Remember, the plugin is like a virtual representation of a physical vPage unit. We'll assign it all of the information here, and then in the next episode, we'll link this plugin to a physical unit. And that physical unit will then assume all the plugin's properties. Alright, let's walk through this together. We need to choose the model first. We're using vPage VP4X in this example, so that's what we'll choose here. The router input is next. This is the input number to the PA router component we just added. For our first unit, we'll enter the number 1. Station name is a unique identifier that you can use to descriptively say what unit you are working with. For our example, we're going to have a VP4X at the attraction's vehicle loading platform and one at the unload platform. So we'll call this load VP4X. Next, we get to setting the IP information. One important thing to understand is that each vPage station has 2 network interfaces that are switched into a single physical port. One for control, and the other for network audio, Dante or AES67. So, we need to set up 2 IP addresses. For control, let's enter the IP address info we need. Audio mode is if you will be using Dante or AES67 in your design. For our example, we're going to use AES67. Now, let's enter the audio IP address info. With PTT mode, PTT stands for push to talk, you can configure the station to one of 2 modes, mic button or zone button. With mic button, you select the zone on the VP4X you'd like to page to, then you push and hold the push to talk button on the handheld microphone to speak to that zone. This is what you would normally use for a vpage VP4X unit. If instead you choose Zone button, then the behavior changes. Now you'll push and hold the actual Zone button to engage the microphone instead of just hitting it once to select the zone. This setting makes more sense in applications where you don't have a push-to-talk button on the microphone itself. An example of this could be a gooseneck mic wired into a VP16K unit on a custom-built attraction console. Next up is the paging mode. Here you'll find 3 options. These all reference different settings for how the button LEDs act when the vpage and zones are in different states. Standard is how the vpage's LEDs functioned previously. As of this recording, this paging mode dropdown is a new item in the vpage station properties tab. If you want the stations to function per the default settings of past vpage plugins, you'll want to keep this default standard mode selected. In standard mode, when a zone is available to select, it will be solid green. When a zone is selected, it will blink on and off. When a zone is unavailable, it will turn solid red, meaning that there is a page in progress either by the station you are using or by a station with the same or higher priority than you. If the station that is paging has a lower priority than you will still be able to select that zone and hijack the page if needed. The red button will blink when you select it if that's the case. In APS mode, when a zone is available to select, the LED will be off. When a zone is selected, it will be green. When a zone is unavailable, it will fast blink green, meaning there is a page in progress either by the station you are using or by a station with the same or higher priority than you. If the station that is paging has a lower priority than you will still be able to select that zone and hijack the page if needed. The zone button will blink green slowly if that is the case. The last mode is custom. Here you'll have access to all LED states so you can create your own custom luck as to what the LEDs do in particular situations. Moving further down, in custom, the zone select timeout is the amount of time, in seconds, before the station switches back to the station's default zone selection. The default zone is configured inside the plugin. We won't adjust these settings at all. Available to all different modes are these final 2. The pulse duration in milliseconds is how long the breakaway pulse feature stays on for. This will be explained further in a later episode. For now, we'll keep it set at default. Finally, show debug mode is used for troubleshooting. We'll cover that in an advanced topics episode. Alright, I'll quickly enter the information for the second vpage VP4X unit and our vpage VP16K unit. And then we'll be good to go. Remember to give a different name, PA router input, and IP address information for these other units. For the vpage VP16K, remember to select VP16K as the model type for that unit. In the next episode, we'll walk through how to link this plugin to your physical unit. See you again soon.